Hello, everyone. Yair Spitz here with an update from home. So a lot has happened since my last update, I think almost a week ago. And the short version of it is that within the next 2, 3 days, I, together with the rest of my battalion, are going to be full citizens again. Um, as you might have heard from the news, the army has started to release large amounts of reservists from service, and this has to do with a larger understanding of what's going on, and understanding that as the campaign continues in Gaza, and as we are more and more on the offensive, a lot of the forces that were being held back surrounding Gaza, protecting the border, a lot of them can be diverted at this time up north to replace the reservists who are there, and in other places in the country. And the government and the army has decided that it's possible and even recommended to have as many reservists return to civilian life, with the understanding that that it's important for the economy to have people go back to their regular lives, to work, and that also plays a part in the success and the big picture, long-term stability of the country and its ability to continue fighting for as long as necessary. So just a few days ago, we were finally notified exactly what's happening with us, and that meant that for the last 5 days, basically, since Sunday, we've been busy bringing back down everything from up north, and it's a big to do. We have to it's folding up an entire camp, which it's a lot of technical things, taking down all the tents, making sure that all the vehicles are ready to go, and cleaning the space up, and doing a lot of overlaps with the new forces that are coming. So as of Sunday afternoon, we came down from up north to our permanent base where we started off the first 4 days of the war, and we've been there for a few days. And basically, the idea is that we need to return everything back to the way it was the hour before we left our base for the war, meaning that everything needs to be. Everyone had to recheck their gear. That means their personal gear, to make sure they have everything. If there's anything that was lost, anything that's broken or too worn out, needs to be replaced. All the vehicles need to be brought back to their ideal combat state. Refueling everything, switching out the comms, checking everything again and again and again. Even our guns, which we gave back, were not given back completely. Meaning they weren't given back and put in the regular place where the guns are put. Each one of the guns sticker was put on it with the name of the soldier whose gun it was throughout the war, and this way it's ready for us if we get called back, in a week or in a month or tomorrow. We'll know exactly. Each gun will go back to its original owner, because each gun, after you get a gun, you have to shoot it and make sure that it's aligned, and for each person it's aligned slightly different. And this way we'll be ready to go at a moment's notice if necessary. So as expected, there were very mixed feelings. Some people were, I guess everyone was happy, at least to some degree, obviously, that they're going home to their families for more than just a couple of days at a time, that they're going back to work, they're going back to their regular, normal life. But at the same time, there were a lot of people, probably most of the people, who felt conflicted, because they felt, but the war is continuing, and we want to finish our mission. We want to be part of of fulfilling this mission. And therefore, it was mixed feelings. But the understanding was that this is what was decided, and these are the needs of the army. And a soldier, over the years, gets accustomed and understands the concept that the army knows best, hopefully, and that's the basis we operate under as soldiers, and that the needs of the army are what we follow. What dictate for us our missions, and therefore kind of people kind of switched their mindset, and there was a lot of excitement and a lot of hard work over the last couple of days, a lot of physical labor in getting everything ready and schlepping things in and out and folding tents. When I say tents, I mean massive tents, and lifting things and moving things. There was also time to kind of sit in small groups, depending on the unit, and kind of go over what was more successful, less successful. This is something I'll personally have to continue working on for the next couple of days, to summarize things, which is sometimes difficult to do. While I was actually doing it, and now and some of these days, or some of the hours of these days, were also dedicated to that, to sit down and take initial notes. Sat down with the rabbinate of my division, to go over things, to discuss things with him, things to take for the future, as far as what to do better, what to do the same. And finally, yesterday was a day for, it was called a Yom Gdudi, a battalion day, a day that's geared for not to work, but to relax, to enjoy together with each other. So the first part of the day basically went to the country club in Ra'anana. I personally didn't go, and me and the other religious soldiers didn't go, or some of them went and they didn't really participate because it wasn't, some of the things there weren't so appropriate for someone who's an observant Jew. There was a lot of pools and water sports. There was also massages, and there was also just general sports, a lot of good food. So, but in the evening, we got together in a hall, concert hall in Kfar Saba, and it was a very, very meaningful evening. What's important to understand is that there's been very, very few times in the 7 years that I've been in this battalion that I've actually seen the entire battalion together. It's extremely, extremely rare. Also, throughout the war, I don't think there was any one moment where the entire battalion was present in the same location. Even when we're on our home base, we're still spread out. And there's never something that's done for the whole battalion together. So this was really a unique opportunity. So the battalion commander spoke first. Then there was they had a performer, stand-up comedian. His name is Israel Katorza. He's absolutely hysterical. And happily for me, he's not too inappropriate, absolutely hysterical. A lot of material that I've never heard before from him about the war and about the situation. And to have 350 soldiers after 2 months sitting there for an hour and 15 minutes, maybe more, just laughing hysterically, was extremely not just fun. It was important. It was almost like therapeutic for everyone. Now, the battalion commander approached me before the beginning of the evening and said to me that during the intermission, they're interested in doing a Hanukkah candle lighting. And he said to me, I know it's not Hanukkah yet, but it's the day before Hanukkah, so I thought maybe, he said, would it be possible to do something like Hanukkah candle lighting? So I thought about it a little bit, and I said, yeah, I said I'll explain that this isn't an actual lighting. And so we went out to do the intermission. Everyone kind of gathered. And like I said, it was hundreds of soldiers, and some of whom I haven't had a chance to ever meet, definitely not during the war. And so I got up, and they brought a Chanukiah, but I set up the Chanukiah. I got up and I said, in a few minutes, we're going to light the Chanukiah. I said, yes, it's not Hanukkah yet, but I said, but we're reservists, meaning we're accustomed to the idea that you always have to train in order to, when it's the moment of truth, we'll know what to do. I said, and therefore, that's what we're going to do now also. We're going to train, we're going to practice lighting the Hanukkah candles without a bracha, without a blessing, but it will serve as practice, and then we're going to sing, and this will serve for us as practice. So tomorrow, and the upcoming week, when all of you do this at home with your families, you'll know what to do. And the battalion commander approached me before the beginning of the evening and said to me that during the intermission, they're interested in doing a Hanukkah candle lighting. And he said to me, I know it's not Hanukkah yet, but it's the day before Hanukkah, so I thought maybe, he said, would it be possible to do something like Hanukkah candle lighting? So I thought about it a little bit, and I said, yeah, I said I'll explain that this isn't an actual lighting. And so we went out to do the intermission. Everyone kind of gathered. And like I said, it was hundreds of soldiers, and some of whom I haven't had a chance to ever meet, definitely not during the war. And so I got up, and they brought a Chanukiah. But I set up the Chanukiah. I got up and I said, in a few minutes, we're going to light the Chanukiah. I said, yes, it's not Hanukkah yet, but I said, but we're reservists, meaning we're accustomed to the idea that you always have to train in order to, when it's the moment of truth, we'll know what to do. I said, and therefore, that's what we're going to do now also. We're going to train, we're going to practice lighting the Hanukkah candles without a bracha, without a blessing, but it will serve as practice, and then we're going to sing, and this will serve for us as practice. So tomorrow and the upcoming week, when all of you do this at home with your families, you'll know what to do. A long and difficult war. 2,190 years ago, the Hasmonean revolt against the Greeks began. I said it took 7 years. That's how long it was. In extremely difficult conditions. More difficult than what we have all experienced down south or what we've experienced up north in the Golan throughout the last 2 months. I said not all of the people survived. Many died, including the chief of staff, Yehuda Maccabi, Judah the Maccabee. Said not many people know this, but he did not survive the battles. In one of the last battles of the war, but not the last one, Yehuda and his men were faced with a much larger force and much more equipped force, Greek force. And Yehuda's soldiers told him, said to him, begged him. He said, "Let's retreat from this specific battle. We'll regroup and then we'll come back." He says, "We don't stand a chance." And Judah said, "Absolutely not." This is quoted in Josephus. Josephus's account of the Maccabean wars against the Greeks, and Judah said, Yehuda Maccabee said, absolutely not. And this battle was taking place in the area in Judea, and he said, that recently there was a battle up north in the Arbel. Those of you are familiar with the Arbel, which is a cliff overlooking the Kinneret. He says, and over there the Greeks took over that area and they completely massacred, and the word that's used in the text there is butchered the civilians. And Judah said, I'm absolutely not willing to forsake the civilians in this area. If we retreat, their fate will be the same as the fate of the civilians in the Arbel, and therefore we're staying. And during that battle, Yehuda Maccabee was killed. But a few months later, the army was successful. They overtook the Greek army. The Greeks left the country, and after a while, one of Judah's older brothers, Shimon the Maccabee, he became the next ruler, the Jewish ruler of the new Judean kingdom or government or country, whatever. The independent Judean state. And a few years later, one of the following Greek rulers, I forgot his name at the moment, actually sent a letter to Shimon HaMaccabee accusing him of taking over lands that did not belong to them, and for taking over possessions that didn't belong to them in the wars. And then I quoted a famous quote, which I don't know to read to you in English, to say in English, but basically it's very famous. It's 3-4 sentences where where Shimon HaMaccabi basically writes a letter back to the Greek general, Greek ruler, and basically says to him, "We did not conquer a foreign land. Rather, we recaptured the land of our forefathers, and the areas that were taken unjustly for us. And when we found the opportunity to do so, we reclaimed it for ourselves." Um, and then I went on to speak to the soldiers in front of me in the first person. And I said, the next few days, we're going to be saying the words, Bayamim hahem bazman hazeh, in those days and in our times. And for us, this holds a very specific meaning. And that is that we, all of us here, I said to them, we are part of a long history. We, here, every one and one of us, every single chayal and chayelet, we are a direct continuation of the Maccabees. Said each one of us over the last 2 months has had the zchut, the merit, to do something which was unimaginable in previous generations. I said, my grandparents or great grandparents, and I said most of you here, your great grandparents, could probably not imagine what happened over the last 2 months. The fact that we are living at a time where we can wear a uniform of the Jewish Israeli army and hold a gun in the Jewish Israeli army and protect our land and protect our people, and to celebrate Hanukkah while doing so, said this is makes us part of an extremely exclusive group, a tiny minority among Jews throughout all of history. So we belong to a small percentage from the millions and millions of Jews who have lived for thousands of years. And I said to them, in the coming week, when we are all celebrating with our families, we need to remember this, and we need to remind and remind the people around us. And this is the way we should be speaking about this: that we are part of a Jewish continuum, that we are part of a Jewish military continuum that has won time and time again in the past. And because we understand that we are part of this history of this nation and of this the military of this nation that has existed on and off for thousands of years, because we feel that we are part of it, because we believe that we are part of that same chain, and we know that that we have won in the past, we know and we are certain that we will win again. And I said, the more we think like this, and the more we speak like this, especially this coming week, the more this will become the reality around us. And I said, Bezrat Hashem, keep this in mind, and everyone should have a Chanukah Sameach. And then went on to say, we're now going to light the Hanukkah candles as a practice for tomorrow. We're going to sing Maoz Tzur. I said, we're not going to do it with a bracha, obviously, with a blessing, but I said that we will make this lighting of these candles as for the Ilu Neshama, remembrance of a Rasar or Major Matan Damari. So who is Major Matan Damari? So regretfully, over the last couple of days, there've been quite a few casualties, soldiers who have died in the battles and the fierce battles taking place in Gaza. And one of them passed away 2 days ago, and his funeral was yesterday morning, is Major Matan Damari, who was a platoon commander in our division. So I do not know him, but not in my battalion, but above a battalion, every 3 or 4 battalions comprise a division. So he was killed in one of the battles. His funeral was yesterday morning. So I said, and this was something that we were all in our division were aware of, because it is someone from our battalion was aware of, because of someone from our division, and we even deliberated, what should we do in this day of fun, and this is what I decided would be a nice moment as we're lighting candles to remember him, to say, okay, so these candles that we'll light will be Li'ilui Nishmato. It's customary to light a candle Ilu Neshama of someone, and that's how we kind of connected the two. We lit the candles, and we sang Ma'oz Tzur, at least the first stanza, which everyone there knew, and then we continued on with the evening. But it really was a very, very emotional and significant moment. So I'll actually send the video, but you'll see that there are certain parts missing. Again, it's in Hebrew, so those of you can understand it, and if not, hopefully you'll be able to get the feel from the way I speak. But some of the parts are missing, but that's what was recorded.